being here. I really, really appreciate it. Some of you might be wondering, how is she a zombie slayer? Do we have any zombie fans here? Anybody? I can't, now the light's too bright, I can't see. Oh, I see zombie fans. Yay, zombie fans. Some of you might be wondering how I'm a zombie slayer, but others of you might be wondering, how much time does she put into doing her hair each day? Oh my gosh, it's huge. I'll tell you, it's not very long. Actually, they told me to use this microphone if I'm going to be walking around. I only put a few minutes of time into my hair each day, but I do put a lot of time every single day into slaying zombies. Let me tell you what that means. What that means is I teach people how to live inspired, how to not be mediocre, how to take risks, how to have fun, and how not to zombie on through life. Uninspired, miserable, I've got to pick up the kids, I've got to get to work, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Merriam-Webster says, zombie is somebody who walks through life kind of slowly and is unaware of what's going on around them. I say a zombie is somebody who walks through life unaware of what's going on around them and has lost that passion. They've lost the fun. They forgot what they started doing it all for. They're just existing. Life is mediocre at best. And that's what I do. So I'm a zombie slayer. I teach people how to live inspired. Now, given that definition of a zombie, I have to ask if we have any zombies here. Now, I don't expect you guys to admit it, so we're going to do a little test because I don't want to have to slay any of you. So I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes in a minute. And when I ask the certain questions, I want you to raise your hand. Don't say your answers out loud. Just raise your hands, okay? All right, everybody ready? Close your eyes. No peeking. I want everyone to keep their eyes closed just for a moment. Don't worry, I won't let zombies come in and attack you while your eyes are closed. Okay. Raise your hand if you know what color shirt you have on right now. Okay. Raise your hand if you know what color the walls are in here. Fewer of you. Keep your eyes closed, no peeking, no peeking. Raise your hand if you know what color the doors are that you walk through to get into the auditorium today. Some of you were like, were there doors? It was just wide open. There were doors? There were doors. Raise your hand if you know what color underwear you have on. All right, for those of you that are feeling to see if you have underwear on, cut that out. And last question, raise your hand if you know what color the person next to you, what color their underwear is. Okay, you guys can open your eyes. First of all, let me say, those of you who just raised your hand knowing what color the neighbor's underwear are, please don't friend request me on Facebook. The rest of you, it's fine. The rest of you can, but you guys, I'm a little worried about you. Most of you knew what color shirts you had on. Most of you, well, fewer of you knew what color the walls are. It's hard to see with the lights, but the walls are actually gray and brick. And then only a couple of you actually knew what color the doors were that you came in, and they're actually tan. And that's the point. It's just a funny little exercise, but it shows that we go through life unaware of what's going on, but yet life impacts us so deeply. Maybe the color of your underwear isn't going to impact you, but life impacts us deeply, and we need to participate in it. We're surrounded by beautiful things, flowers that we don't notice the color of. We see people that we know and we don't stop and say hello. I know I've been guilty of this once in a while. We're text messaging, we're emailing, we're fast-paced, we're business, but we forget about people and relationships. Or we sit in front of television and we watch the Cake Boss. Who likes the Cake Boss? Right? Those cakes are freaking awesome, man. How many of us have actually tasted one? Or made one? You know, we watch these great things happening. Or the Travel Channel. What an amazing invention. Let's invent a channel where people can just sit around and watch everyone else traveling. Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we traveling? Why aren't we living inspired now? You know how I know this is true? Because I was once a zombie. I was a zombie. I was afraid. I was scared. I walked through life unaware. The last thing I ever thought I would be a successful author and entrepreneur who owns my own business. See, years ago, many years ago, I was married. I was 22 years old. I got married. My husband was 35, and he was an alcoholic. What's an alcoholic? I really didn't know. Oh, okay. Well, with that beautiful bundle of joy came postpartum depression. I didn't know what that was either. I didn't know a lot of things at 22. I thought I did. And with postpartum depression and an alcoholic husband, life sucked. It just sucked. I was unaware. I didn't care anymore. I remember sitting in the rocking chair in my living room, holding my newborn infant. Screamed bloody murder for 3+ hours a day, no matter what I did. No matter what, she just screamed. So I was sitting there in my rocking chair, rocking my newborn baby. She was screaming bloody murder, and I was crying, and my tears were rolling off of my face and bouncing right onto her face. And the only thing that I could think at that time was, we live on the 2nd floor. I could jump out the window with her in my arms and kill us both. And that's all I wanted. I just wanted it to stop. I couldn't deal with it anymore. During that time, my husband, now my ex-husband, my husband realized that he had a problem. It's pretty bad when the depressed mother who wants to kill herself is the healthy one in the relationship. So he had a problem. So I brought him to rehab, and I checked him into rehab. It was a beautiful place. Wow. Kind of wish I had a problem so I could go there. It was so beautiful. It was landscaped. It was out in the middle of the woods. There was a pond. It was lovely. And I'll never forget, this was a defining moment in my life. I was at home, the phone rang, and it was his counselor at the rehab. And she said, "I'd like to have you come in for an appointment." Okay, I can do that. So Madison and I went to the rehab, and I went into her office, and I put her car seat down. She was still only a few weeks old when this happened. I put her car seat down on the floor, and I sat down, and the counselor said, "I brought you here today because I wanted to create a safe environment for your husband to tell you something." Oh my God. You know that feeling when you're like, oh, the boss calls you into his office, or your parents are like, "Heather Jane Whitman," they use your full name, and you're like, "Ooh, I'm dead." Well, that's the feeling I had. What was he going to tell me? So that's when he admitted, "I've also been doing cocaine." And I thought, holy crap, cocaine? Really? What more can go wrong in my life? Are you kidding me? I was so mad. I was really upset. I was crying. I was asking him, how could you do this? What's wrong with you? How could you do this to us? And the counselor said, please stop. Wait a minute. Why are you so upset? Cocaine is no different than alcohol. He's already an alcoholic. What's the big deal about being a cocaine user too? I freaking lost it. Are you kidding me? What's wrong? It's totally different. Cocaine is totally different than alcohol. It's illegal. It's expensive. And it's freaking wrong. It's just wrong. Hello? And I was upset. But at that point, at least I knew one thing. I knew where all of our money went. Why we never had any. I also knew something else that day. I knew that my life had to change. And I was the only one responsible for changing it. I had to make some changes in my life. I knew a lot of things. I knew I wanted to help people. I had always helped people my whole life. I knew I wanted to make a difference in the world. I knew one thing. There was no way I would ever want to be a drug counselor. Never. I knew that for sure. I wanted to punch that lady. Have you guys ever wanted to just punch somebody? I mean, let's be real here. I'm not advocating violence in any way, shape, or form, but come on. You wanted to punch somebody, right? I know I wanted to punch her. And you know, I actually talk about this in my book. It's called Discharging Negative Emotions. And here's what I say. Because remember, I'm a zombie slayer, so in my head, I'm pretty kick-ass. But in real life, in front of people, I'm like, okay. But what you can do, and what I do, is go behind closed doors. And as soon as the doors close, you go, and lose it a little. Come on, you guys haven't done that? Mom and dad, or a kid, or a boss, or somebody you know, being a real jerk, and you can't say anything, of course, because we're professionals, we're business people. Like, you can go into the bathroom and close the stall door and give a few colorful gestures if you want. Or make faces. I actually have clients that I tell them, stick your tongue out. Go in the bathroom, stick your tongue out, and just make faces at the mirror. It'll make you feel better. It's true, though. What kind of stuff are you guys putting up with? What standards do you need to raise? Maybe you aren't married to an alcoholic, but maybe you're feeling overwhelmed with school or work. Maybe you're struggling to balance everything. Maybe you're working so hard to pay for everything and you're forgetting to have some joy. You're forgetting to have some fun. Or maybe, like I was, you're afraid to admit that you have a problem. You're afraid to admit that this is bigger than I know how to deal with. And I need some help. And that's okay. Listen, today's challenges are tomorrow's triumphs. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. Don't think you have to do it all alone. And certainly, no matter what, don't lose your passion. Could you guys imagine if Steve Jobs didn't have passion? When he was alive, he was so full of passion. And this was a guy that got fired. You all know the story. Albert Einstein, they thought he was stupid. These are people that had passion and were inspired and didn't let anything or anyone tear them down. There isn't a successful business person that doesn't have some amount of passion. A few weeks ago, I was speaking at another event, and a young lady came up to me afterwards. She said, you know, I was listening to you talk about your story, and you have such passion. Like, maybe I can tell my story. Great. She's 20 years old. 20 years old. And she said, I'm a zombie. I need help. I'm already I'm sick of life. I'm sick of doing what everyone else expects me to do. And I want to take this moment to take a little risk and tell you something that I've never told only one other person on the planet. I said, okay. Oh boy, here we go again, that sinking feeling. And she said, I was molested. She said, and I'm tired of keeping secrets. And she's bawling, and now I'm crying, and I'm hugging her. And she said, I'm tired of keeping it in. I'm tired of not living. I'm tired of letting that control me. And so this is what I said to her. I said, sweet girl, you are nothing more than the story that you tell. You're nothing more than the story you tell. Do you want to be a tragic tale? Or do you want to be a story of inspiration? A story that, I went through this, but now look at me. I'm living with passion. I'm happy. I'm doing things. When you tell your story, when you have the courage to tell your story, two things happen. Number one, it takes the sting out of it. Everyone seems to think that they need to lock away these deep, dark secrets, or even just these little things that are embarrassing, lock it away in a safe place, and don't ever let anyone find out. But all that does, what do you put into a safe? Things of importance. So when you lock away those stories, it makes them very, very important, and they own you, and they control you. So telling your story gets it out there. And the second thing it does is it gives other people the courage to do the same thing. It gives other people the courage to tell their story. You can't, light always wins over dark. You can't flip a light switch on and not have the whole entire room illuminated. When you turn on the light switch, when you tell your story, it brightens everything. And I'm so happy to say that she sent me a Facebook message this week, and she said, I am shining my light. And she's happy, and she's smiling, and she's laughing again. Listen, no inspirational speaker ever got on stage and said, my life is so perfect. Oh my God, I had the best of everything. My parents totally rocked, and I had everything. I've never struggled ever. No, it doesn't happen that way. Every inspirational speaker has some kind of challenge that they've gone through. They share their struggle with you so that you guys can be inspired to turn your struggles into success stories. What's holding you back? What story aren't you guys telling? I used to be afraid to tell my story. Then I put all those stories into my book. And now those stories sell my book. And it's not about selling for me. It's really not. It's about slaying zombies. It's about inspiring other people to slay their inner zombie and to not be afraid and to take some risks, to wake up, to notice things, to have fun, to smile, and to live inspired now. Speaking of my book, though, oh my God, can I tell you guys? When I released my book, it just came out in November. I was so scared. Talk about, I get scared, let me tell you. I get really scared. I was scared before I came up in front of you guys. I just don't ever let fear hold me back, right? So my book came out in November, and I'm like, oh man, my parents haven't read it. And in my book, I admit how many times I've been married. I talk about the story about when I kidnapped a child. It's true. And I also told the story of the big, fat lie that I told my parents when I was little, that they still didn't know about until they read it in the book. I was scared, man, I'm telling you. I kept calling my mom, did you read my book yet? No. Did you read my book yet? No. My parents are workaholics. My mom is a realtor. She's one of the top realtors in Rhode Island. So finally I called her one day and I said, Mom, did you read my book yet? She said, would you stop calling me? I'll let you know when I've read it. I'm reading it at stoplights, in between real estate she called me and she said, a few weeks later, she called and she said, I finally got through the whole book. It was good. Really liked it. I didn't know about that lie you told, but it was a good book. It was really good. Now my dad still hasn't read it yet. He's slowly getting through it. Again, my parents are workaholics, so I could still get in trouble. We'll have to see how that goes. Oh man, parents are crazy. Parents are really nuts. It's all in how you look at it though. And I'm a parent. I have 6+ kids, and you might be wondering, how does she have 6+? My husband and I, my family's all here, they're in the back. My husband, Dad, and I, we are a blended family. When we met, he had 3 kids and I had 3 kids. They're all the same ages. A lot of you are probably too young to understand the Brady Bunch reference, but we are the Brady Bunch. But then we decided to start taking in other people's kids too. So we have actually taken in 4 young men. They're not all with us now, just one of them is. And 2 of our kids are out on their own, older now, so we have 4 kids at home, plus the 1 extra kid, so we have 5 kids at home. Confused yet? Don't worry. I'm always confused. And we have to take 2 cars. We don't even have a car big enough to transport everyone. It's ridiculous. But yeah, parents are crazy. Let's do one more quick zombie test. You guys know that song by John Legend, All of Me? Is that what it's called, All of Me? It's like the #2 song in the country right now. Anybody? Okay. So if it's playing on the radio, you can sing it, right? Sing along. Don't lie. I know you guys are singing along. I do it too. How many of you could stand up right now and sing it without it playing? 1. I'm not asking how many of you are brave enough and would do it. I'm just saying who could actually do it. The idea here is that, I used to use, by the way, the song Open Arms by Journey, but I'm like, these guys aren't going to know that song. It's too old. I have to keep remembering that I'm older now. I'm seasoned. So the idea here is that when you're unaware, you can sing those songs because the radio's playing, you're not paying attention, you're driving to your girlfriend's house or your boyfriend's house, and you're belting out the tunes, and you don't even think about it. But when you're fully present, you're like, oh, I don't know that song. But if I turned it on right now, I bet you could all sing along. It's about living inspired, being in the moment. We do that by staying positive. Listen, there will always be crap in the world. There'll always be war, disease, famine, murder, crime, blah, blah, blah. Turn on the news, you'll get your fill of it. But guess what? There'll also always be babies being born, people falling in love, that cute little look that my husband just gave me. There'll always be sunrises, sunsets, puppies, kittens, you name it. Facebook is full of that stuff. It's full of the negative too. What are you going to focus on? Stay positive. Live inspired now. You can also be confident. Who struggles with confidence? You don't have to admit it. A lot of people struggle. They want more confidence. You know how we get confidence in our house? You can learn confidence. In fact, I have a thing up there, more ways to get confidence, so pick it up when you leave. In our house, who's seen the movie Fried Green Tomatoes? A few of you. All right. So after tonight, I want you all to watch this movie, Fried Green Tomatoes. Seriously. Make it a girls' night, boys' night, whatever. Probably more like a girls' night. But boys, trust me, when you watch it, you'll get it. You'll understand. In the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, the main character, here's this story about Tawanda. Tawanda was this kick-ass woman, and she wanted to be just like her. So anytime she needed to muster up courage, she would scream, "Tawanda!" And she'd throw her car into a spot. If you guys have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. She smashed up a car. It was really funny. Do those things that give you courage. I hate to embarrass my kids, but I'm going to say it. Every time they go do something, like whether they have to get on stage or go to their job interviews or whatever, we yell it in the car, Tawanda! Tawanda! My son Ethan is laughing because I made a video of him. You know, I have my website, I put videos out and teach coaching things, stuff like that. So I made a video of Ethan saying, Tawanda! There's lots of things you can do to live inspired. Laugh, volunteer, take a walk, put down the iPod, iPad, tablet, whatever it is. You don't have to do it all the time. There's nothing wrong with those things. Believe me, I'm a Facebook junkie. I was taking selfies of myself in the bathroom before I came up here. I swear I was. I'll post them on Facebook, so when you friend me, you'll see them. But anyway, put down that stuff for a little bit. Interact with one another. Relationships are what's important in life. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the relationships that you have. Ditch the Debbie Downers. You don't need them. Naysayers gonna naysay. Just ditch them. You don't need them. Find like-minded people. This room is full of awesome, inspired, like-minded business people. And take some risks. I want to say real quickly, after I divorced my alcoholic husband, I went back to school, community college, not this one, and I started taking classes again. And I went and applied for a job that I was not qualified for, but I knew I could do. I knew I'd be great at it. I didn't have the degree yet, so technically I wasn't qualified, but I knew I'd be awesome. And my friend said, you shouldn't even bother. Why are you going to do that? You're not going to get hired. I'm like, well, that's okay. I certainly won't get hired if I don't try, right? So I went and applied, and I got the job, and it was awesome. And I was doing case management with elderly people. And while I was there, I think I worked there for only about 3 years before I moved, but while I was there, I was recognized on television. They did interviews about some of the programs they had started. The New Jersey Housing Authority hired me to come down and speak about one of the animal programs they had started. I got an award from the Department of Elderly Affairs. All of these amazing things happened, and it was all because I took a risk. Let me tell you something, don't ever let no be a stop sign. It's not. Sometimes it's a little speed bump, but it's not a stop sign. No means next opportunity. That's what no means. Live inspired now. All right, who likes free stuff? Oh, there's my people. Yay! Okay, so I have some free stuff out on my table. I've got postcards and bookmarks. I did bring my books for sale today. Usually they're $12.99, but they're on sale for $10 for you guys today. I hope you'll pick it up because there are a lot of fun stories in there. But I brought some articles too that I've written. I have 7 ways to prevent your relationship from slipping away, 10 ways to build self-confidence, 9 tips for successful workplace communication, 9 ways to be more likable. So I hope you guys will check that stuff out. Who's heard the phrase, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? Bull crap. No. I hate that phrase. If life gives you lemons and all you have is lemons, that's going to be some really crappy lemonade, let me tell you. I wouldn't drink it. I like lots of sugar. So if life gives you lemons, don't settle for that. Go out and get some more ingredients. You don't have to settle for what life's handed you. I didn't have to settle for what life handed me, and neither do you. Go out, take those lemons, get some water, buy some sugar, go Google some recipes, because you can make shrimp scampi with lemons, and that's really yummy. I like it. You're not a zombie. You're not confined to what life hands you. Who's heard that phrase, it is what it is? No, You know, I'm an inspirational speaker. I'm supposed to like these phrases, but I don't. It's not what it is. It is what you make it. Make it something different. You don't like roast lemonade? Turn it into something amazing. Live inspired now, guys. You're not zombies. You're friends. You're students. Your moms, dads, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters. your leaders. Live inspired now. Listen, people sit for hours, even days, months, contemplating the meaning of life. I think it's pretty simple. Life is about being happy. Being happy is about living inspired, loving fully, taking some risks, having some joy. I hope that you guys will all do that. I hope that you'll become a zombie slayer with me, and I hope that you'll live inspired now. Thank you.